Hey everybody, welcome back. Monday Morning Briefing, episode number 115. It is Thursday, April 25th. Been out of the Monday briefings for a couple of weeks and just been busy on some stuff in the shop as usual. But we've gotten some stuff in today, so I was just going to open this up here in this Monday video. We allow back orders on our templates and on our pattern packs, so you're probably not aware, but if you have ordered a belt jig in, I don't know, the last 3 or 4 days, I think we got them all fulfilled, but if your order hasn't moved, that's why, because the 1-inch tapered belt jigs we ran out of. We had plenty of the 1.5-inch tapered ones, but the smaller ones we didn't, and so we put in a call there to our friends at Makers, and we were able to get some more ordered, which is great. And so we've got those in. So if you haven't seen our belt jigs before, I'll see if I can open this up fairly easily. They package them really well. But they do a good job always of bubble wrapping these things when they ship them to us, because acrylics will break, so that's the one thing to be careful with. In fact, we had one customer that had ordered one of these, and I think Claudia said she remembers the order. I think they had ordered something else too, so she wasn't able to put this into a cardboard tube like we usually do. Most of the time, those will make it to you without any problems, but I think on that one, she had to put it in a different box, and I guess the post office got a little rough with it and cracked it. So if that's you and you're listening, we got another one going out to you. I'm assuming that Claudia's gotten with you on that. If not, it's probably over there boxed up and ready to head to you. But anyway, these are our tapered belt jigs here. If you're familiar with these, they've been doing really well. A lot of people like them. It's just an 1.5-inch belt tapered to a 1-inch is what this is for. And you can do the buckle end as well as the billet end. And these taper marks are correct. I've already done the math so that they end up right on your belt as long as you've sized the belt correctly. With the math that we show you in one of our videos, as long as you do that and you use this jig, one end then the other, then the tapers will be even on the person that ends up wearing the belt. So, but anyway, we got these back in stock. You may not even be aware that we were out of them, but we were only out a few days. Aaron and them at Makers Leather Supply are really quick to get us fulfilled on our templates whenever we run out of something. Something else I got from Makers, which is really nice of him. If you guys do his project boxes every month, I think it's every month, he does a project box. I think it used to be called a mystery box, but now it's just a project box. And he comes up with a project, something, a purse, a briefcase, whatever it might be. And then he does a video and he sells project boxes, a certain amount of those, and they come with everything in them. We've got all the hardware, all the little straps. This one is for his Pony Express bag. Yep, Pony Express satchel. And he was nice enough to send me one. And so it comes with all the material that you need to build the project. He does a video. I think he's shooting that now as this video is coming out, or it's about to come out or something. But then it comes with all your leather pieces cut out, so you get everything you need, as well as the acrylic templates for that project. And so I feel like it's a really good deal, especially it's a kit. I mean, it's a full kit. We only do like material pack type stuff. This has everything that you need. Everything's already skived, which is a big time saver. And then you can watch that video and follow along with him and build this project. And this one, I don't know if you see in the video, but if you're following Makers Leather Supply, you're certainly aware of this. And may have done some of these projects yourself. But a lot of times we'll draw a floral pattern for it if it's something that he needs a floral pattern for, or if it's just an accessory piece to whatever the project is. He'll ask me, and of course I'll draw something for you. So I draw him a little pattern and I send it to him, and it goes out with the box. And so anyway, he sent me this and sent me this whole project here and said, here, make one. And so he's done that a couple times. I got them over there, just got to get some time to actually build them. But maybe something fun happening with one of these in the very near future, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But as far as what's been going on in the shop, we've just been working, trying to get ready to go to Sheridan, obviously in a couple of weeks. I think we leave on the 11th, somewhere around there, and then just trying to get some stuff finished up, wrapped up, and buttoned up here in the shop. Some things that we've got to do project-wise, as well as our normal, fulfilling orders and stuff. I have been working on, I've got 2 new project videos. One will come out hopefully tomorrow. It's almost done, and it is for the, I'm calling it a stock shell sleeve. For obvious reasons, YouTube and things, sometimes they're kind of funny when it comes to firearms and things, but this will go on the stock of a rifle or a shotgun. I made this one for a shotgun, and it'll hold this setup here on these bullet loops in particular is set up to hold 12 gauge. But you could do that to set up for whatever round you needed it for, depending on what it's going on. But it's just an old cowboy style kind of butt sleeve there that goes on there. You lace it in place. We've got the video just about wrapped up. Pattern pack is done. If you're a member of the newsletter list, we sent out a newsletter last week for a pre-order on that pattern pack, and a lot of y'all took advantage of that. If you are on our newsletter list and you didn't see that email, be sure and check your spam folder. It might have gone there, but there are links to the product. The product is not listed on the website just yet. As soon as that video posts, we will get that up there so everyone can have access to purchasing this pattern pack if you want. It's a really good one. It's a fun project. This is a very easy project. Outside of the tooling, this thing goes together really quickly, and I think it works really well. Like I said, you could make minor adjustments here where it comes together to fit any particular firearm that you want to put it on, but that's kind of what our mindset is on that. We're also doing another project video that'll come out next week, and that pattern pack is also available. So if you're on the newsletter list, you know about it. You may have already purchased your copy. We have received both of those patterns, so as far as for the pre-order situation, many of those are I think all of those have gone out already. So if you did order one, they're on their way to you. I've also been working on our Sheridan saddle that we'll be taking up there for the World Leather debut. And so if you're following me on Instagram, you've seen little snippets of what we've been working on. Here's one of the fenders here that what we've done. I've got both of them tooled, and so they're both ready to go. And we're doing some finish work. I'm doing a little bit different finish on this saddle, which I'll probably show some glimpses of on Instagram as we get closer. The time is running short. I feel like we've got plenty of time. It's in May, but no, May's here almost. And so we will be kind of hustling from today on to try to finish up all the projects we need to finish, both inside the shop as well as to go to Sheridan. And so just busy on that. Also got the stirrups tooled and my stirrups. I had somebody ask, I don't remember if it was in a comment or if it was an email or what, but they'd asked, where do I get my stirrups? I get all of my stirrups, the blanks basically is what I call them, the stirrup blanks here. I get these all at Weaver. I used to get them all from Nettles Stirrups there in Madisonville. I think they're in Madisonville. Anyway, I used to get them at Nettles. And they build a really, really nice, high-quality stirrup. They've got a couple different levels, but they also make blanks. And I used to get all of my blanks from Nettles. If you watch the older video that we've done, I think we shared it a couple weeks ago, on covering a pair of stirrups, those are Nettle blanks. They're just solid wood. They don't have this galvanized binding on the outside of them, but a really good quality laminated stirrup. The only reason that we're not getting them from Nettles anymore is because they discontinued the stirrup that I like when it comes to the deep roper. This is the style that I like. It's a very traditional, comes up straight. It's a 3-inch deep roper, and Weaver sells this one. The Nettles is almost exactly like this one. And I used those stirrups for years and years. Bought them, I think I used to buy, four or six at a time, pair at a time. But they've got to take care of business too, and every business is different. And I may have been the only guy in the country buying that particular style of stirrup. And so they discontinued making those blanks. They do make a deep roper blank, but the only thing is the top of that blank turns out just a little bit right here. It kind of wings out, and it looks a little wide in here for the tread area, and I really just don't like that stirrup. I've tried to use it. They years ago when they came up with that, they called this version the Classic, and this is what I would order. And then they made the newer version, which they refined and thought was better. And that's fine. Some people may love that stirrup. I just personally did not like that stirrup. I didn't think it went well with my saddles, and so I just didn't want to use that one. Well, when they kind of made some changes for the good, right? Any business is always trying to develop. Sometimes you've got to drop products that aren't profitable for you. There's no reason to do them if they're not making any money, or whatever the case may be. Maybe they're very difficult to make. But anyway, they discontinued my product that I was using. So that's the only reason I quit buying the blanks for that. I will buy Nettle stirrups going forward for cowboy stirrups, bell type stirrups, your cut and saddle stirrups that they make. They have very high end quality, like exotic woods and different things they do there. They're a fabulous stirrup company, and I still use them. for my Roper stirrups. I'm not going to, just because they don't make my stirrup anymore. That's the only reason. But I get these at Weaver. I'm sure there's somebody else that sells stirrups, but for me, that seems to be the easiest source to get them from. I'll usually buy four to six pair, keep them under a bench, and when I go to build a Roper, then I have these stirrups to cover. These will be covered, and so we'll line them. We're tooling the outside of those, and then they will go on, and then we will have to, as you've seen me do in a video before, we'll have to get the Cobra Class 4, the plate changed up, so it's got the whole stirrup plate on there, and then we'll sew these up. And because the saddle that I'm building for Sheridan is just one of my team Ropers, just fully tooled. It's gonna have a padded seat in it. But nothing as wild and woolly as we did last year with the Wildlife saddle. There's no, figure carving scenes in there or anything like that. But I think it's going to be really neat and clean. A much more bold pattern than I usually tool. Very large flowers and leaves on there. And so just trying to do something different. And so that's what we did. But we got to hustle. We got to try to finish it up. I got a seat in it yesterday. Well, I put it in the day before, and then it dried some, and then I did kind of final cut on it. I've still got some tweaking to do on it, trim work and stuff to get it just right, and then get our area set where the padded seat's going to go, and then get to tooling, because that's still a lot to tool. So we're not out of the woods yet on the tooling aspect of that. One fun thing. I was watching a TCA video. I don't know if any of y'all follow the TCA, the Traditional Cowboy Arts Association, on Facebook. But Kerry Schwartz, I'm pretty sure it was on their Facebook, or maybe it was on his. They were working on a saddle, and they were doing some live videos on Facebook. And him and Troy West and Pedro Pedrini were on there working on a saddle. I think it's for their 25th anniversary or something like that. But they were collaborating on there, and John Willemsma was there too. They were all working on this saddle. It was really neat to watch that live video. They did a great job. But I noticed one thing, because every time I watch a video, I'm always looking at what's in the background, in somebody's shop, how they have their tools arranged, how are they storing their scrap leather, and that kind of deal. And anyway, I was watching the video, and I saw a huge can of saddle soap, this can right here, on one of Kerry's benches. I was not aware that Five Beings sold saddle soap in a 5-pound can, but I got on their website, and I usually get all my Five Beings products from, or Feebings, however you want to say it. It's kind of the Prescott thing. But I usually get all those products from either Maker's Leather Supply, or I get them from Weaver, places like that, or I'll pick them up at a show. But I've never really been on their website. So I got on their website, and I not only found that they do offer this in a 5-pound can in a white saddle soap and a yellow saddle soap, but they also have the 3.5-inch cans of the white, which is what I've been hunting for I think I had my last little can probably 10 years ago. And I get them from Weaver, and I guess Weaver stopped carrying these. I didn't know I could order straight from Feebings. Once you get set up with them, you can, and which we did. But at the time, I just got them from Weaver. Well, I guess Weaver discontinued these little ones, so they would only sell the larger ones, the larger cans. It's the same soap. It's just too big a can for what I use saddle soap for. The only thing I use saddle soap for is to run my lace through when I'm braiding up the skirts, like on the back of the skirts, or anytime I'm doing any kind of braiding. I will run my lace leather through the saddle soap just to lubricate that strand, and that way when you're braiding, your bites will be tighter, it will look slicker, and make it look a lot more refined. And it's just a more of a joy to work with whenever it's got some lubrication from the saddle soap. There is a question on why I use white versus the yellow. I talked to Ian at Feebings, and he confirmed for me that there's really no difference from what he said between the white and the yellow. The only thing is the color. That's it. And I figured that was probably the case, but I wasn't for sure. The only reason I like the white is just in my mind, the yellow could stain. I've never experienced that. I've washed a lot of saddles with both, and I've never experienced any staining, but it is a color, and so it worries me. And so I prefer the white, and it's just traditional. It's what I was taught to use, and that's what I use. So anyhow, I say all that to say, Five Beings has the 3.5 ounce, I believe is what this is. Yep, 3.5 ounce cans. The reason I like the smaller can is because the larger can, no more than I use it just for lacing, will dry out on me faster than this will. I can almost use this whole little can up before it dries out. And because you've got the lid off of it, you're using it, and then you put the lid back on, it's getting air. Over time, it's going to dry out. On the bigger cans, it's worse. I don't use it fast enough. And so I prefer these tiny little cans. So with that being said, you might ask, why then did you buy a 5-pound can of saddle soap? I'm gonna be real honest with you. The only reason I bought this can is because I want the can. It is completely full of white saddle soap. You can get this in the yellow as well if you prefer, but it is completely full of white saddle soap. It'll take me a long time to use all of this saddle soap. And I told him when I called him, I said, the only reason I'm getting this can is because I want the can. I've got something I want to do with this can. I think they're neat to have around. I think they're just nostalgic, and I got a job for it, but I need to use all the saddle soap in there. And he said, well, I can actually sell you empty can. So we ended up arranging, but I bought this one still just because I want it on my bench. It looks cool in here. And many of y'all have watched our saddle cleaning video, the washing video. In there I talk about saddle soap and why I don't use saddle soap. It's absolutely fine to use, but you're not getting the dirt rinsed away unless you use it that way, like a soap. Put it on, scrub it in, then rinse it off. But if you read the directions and the way saddle soap is supposed to be used, is you lather that up and let it dry in there, because it's offering back some moisture to that leather that it needs. But I used to wash a really dirty saddle. It's got a lot of arena dust on it, or mud, or poop, cow poop, whatever. I would wash it with Dawn dish soap, just like I did in that video. And then we would come back and we would wash it again, or not wash it, but lather it up with white or yellow saddle soap, and then let that dry with that saddle soap on there. That's absolutely fine. Over time, I kind of dropped that step because I felt like it wasn't needed because of the conditioners that we use and the Skidmore's leather cream. And now there's so many other, like Duff's conditioners out there. It's really good. There's a bunch of other ones out there, but I figured, well, there's probably no need to use saddle soap. I'm going to try that, and I'll try to keep you posted on how that works. I've got a couple saddles I need to wash, and I'm going to put that step back in there now that I have this 5-pound can that I've got to use, right? So I'm going to go ahead and wash it with Dawn like I always do. Get it clean, get the dirt rinsed away so it's off of the leather and out of the way. Then I'm going to lather it up with this really good, let it dry, buff it out, oil it, condition it as usual through my process. And I'm going to see if I notice a difference. I know it's going to be a different saddle. It's going to be a different dry, level as far as its condition than other saddles that I may have done that way. So I'm just going to do it that way. I'm going to try it out and let you know how it works. I will tell you this. If you're going to use saddle soap, or you're not going to use saddle soap, but you do our process the exact same way, with or without it, you're fine. I wouldn't see where there's an issue. I don't think this is a deal breaker, and I definitely don't think using this is going to be a bad thing, right? You can't put enough on leather to keep it dry. It's trying to die. We have stopped it through the tanning process so that it won't rot, but if you're not continuously feeding and conditioning that leather and keeping it clean, over time it's going to rot. It's going to dry rot, which is a bad deal, because once it does that, there's nothing we can do for it to help it. So whenever people ask me, what do you recommend putting on leather, I always tell them something. Do something. You can't just do, well, I don't know what to use, so I'm not going to do anything. That's a bad decision. Always be moving forward. If you want to put, just beef tallow on something, I don't care. Just put something on there. There are things that are better than other things. Beef tallow straight is probably not a good choice, just because it's probably going to go rancid. Those are things you got to consider, but it's still better than letting that saddle or that headstall or that britchin for your harnesses or whatever rot. And you don't want that to happen, because there's nothing you can do after that. So, but that's my story on the 5-pound coffee can, or the 5-pound thing of saddle soap. They're handy. They're beautiful can. I don't know that this can, I'm sure they've made some changes to it, but it just looks straight out of the 30s and 40s, sitting on the bench over there. I think it's really cool. Like I said, they do offer it in the white and the yellow, so you can pick whichever one you want. I don't remember what this can cost, but you could probably certainly call up there. You're probably gonna have to call Feebings and get it from them. I haven't ever seen this like at a feed store or anywhere else. I mean, there's very few people that need 5 pounds of saddle soap. Only usually a saddle shop craftsmen that are going through it are going to buy it in a 5-pound can. It's kind of like the glue video that we did on different glues and different containers that we did a couple weeks ago. I used to buy contact cement in 5-gallon buckets, but I had 4 other craftsmen in the shop, between repair and toolers, or small goods makers, and then saddle makers. And so we were going through a lot of glue, so we went through it fast enough. Now I go through a gallon, maybe one a month, maybe one every 6 weeks, depending on what I'm working on, how many projects we're doing and videos and things. And so the glue is stable, it'll last, this will last, there's no problem in having this, but it's a big investment when you buy a 5-gallon bucket of contact cement. I think those buckets are now, I haven't bought one in so long, but back then they were $140, I think, for one of those. So you're probably, I would guess you probably got to find better sources for them, but I would guess they're probably $150, $170 for a 5-gallon can. And you don't need that. If you're a one-man shop like me, or you're a small shop or a hobbyist, the little quart jar might be plenty for you. Because if it's going to go bad or it's going to get thick and gooey where you can't use it, you'd rather that happen in a small little can that you spent $20 on than something you've got almost a couple $100 in. So, but just like this, that's why I get these little cans. I go through them fast enough that they're not going to go bad. The bigger cans, if I get below a half on one of those bigger cans, that saddle soap that's in there, now there's an air gap in the can, and so I'm not using it fast enough, and that stuff starts to dry out, and it doesn't do as nice of a job when you're pulling lace through there. You can also use this saddle soap for prepping new pieces of canvas for slicking your edges. So you've seen me do that, I believe, in another video where I'll cut a new piece of canvas and then rub it onto the saddle soap, the white saddle soap, work it into the grain of that canvas, and just impregnate that canvas with the white saddle soap. That's going to get that thing started, because as we all know, those slicking rags get better with time, but this just kind of gets the ball rolling, and so that works really good too. And you can also take your canvas and just get a little bit of saddle soap, and you've got an edge that you're finished with. You think it looks really nice, you can work that saddle soap on that edge and then really burnish that again and refine that edge and get a super slick, nice edge. Just as usual, be careful, keep whatever edging medium that you're using, whether it's the gum or whether it's this or any other kind of soap or whatever. Just try to keep that off of the top of your material. You want to keep it on the edge so that it doesn't discolor your oiling later. So, but anyway, that's these. Like I said, I don't know if we'll sell these or not. I believe they may be available here soon at Maker's Leather Supply. I think he's going to start selling these smaller ones as well. And if in doubt, just call Feebings. They can tell you where you can get them in your area. I don't know their whole system as far as can you just call and order whatever from them? I think you can, because they have a website with all their pricing on there as retail pricing. So I'd assume you can just go to their website, order what you want, send it to them. If you've got a bigger store or bigger business, you can certainly get set up with them as a supplier, I would assume, but you have to talk to them about all that. But anyway, good stuff. I had a lot of fun getting that. I was glad to get it. We did order some bars, which I've got to call back because I just remembered we ordered a bunch of the bars. We sell the glycerin bar, saddle soap bars, and I don't think they were in the box because I haven't found them. So I think they forgot, or they just didn't get put in there. I need to get with them and check on that. I may have forgot to tell him I did want those. But anyway, probably my fault. One thing real quick, I want to thank a young lady that sent us a very nice letter, and it's been a little while. We were kind of busy first not the last 2 or 3 weeks, but before that we were busy trying to get buttoned up for 2023, get all of our tax stuff done, get all that stuff done, get everything turned in. And so the shop was kind of a wreck, and we kind of got lined out and cleaned up after that and got back on projects. And I found something that was sent to us, and one thing in particular was sent to my kids, and it was pretty neat. My little girl already claimed it, so it's hers apparently. But this young lady just sent us a nice letter thanking us for stuff that we do and how she's gotten onto our videos and stuff, and getting into leather work and really working to do more projects and things like that. So that's great. We really appreciate any kind of feedback we get. Especially whenever it's something that you're interested in and you got value out of a video or value out of something that's really good. But she sent us this, and it's a comb pouch thing. So it's got a belt clip back here. So when you're showing cattle and you're in the ring, you're supposed to have your comb with you. Like I said, I'm learning all of this, but apparently from what Claudia said, if the judge, at like the major shows, if the judge comes over, part of showmanship, if he touches your calf to feel a finish, to see if he can feel ribs or how his finish feels, and then when he walks off, he's going to be watching to see if you pull your comb out of your back pocket and fix the hair. seems kind of rude to me. It'd be like if you shake somebody's hand and then pull your handkerchief out and wipe your hand off. It kind of seems kind of rude, but that's part of showmanship. Like, he wants to know that you're doing that. It's part of the whole process. So you're supposed to take that out, brush the hair on the cattle back to where it was, and then get back ready. And so they all carry a comb in their back pocket. And so she made this, which is just it's a comb pouch or a comb loop. So basically it's got a belt clip back here and then a little loop right there where the handle of that comb can hang down in there. And it's all tooled. She went ahead and tooled it up. She did some hand cut basket stamp on there, did a really nice job. And so it's got that belt clip there. She can clip it on her belt or clip it on her pocket, however she wants to do it. And then she actually tooled a little bust of a calf on there and painted it, and he looks just like my little girl Steer from last year, her first little steer. So she was super, super excited about that. She said she put Chuck on him. Does she know Chuck? And I said, I don't think she knows Chuck, but she knows of Chuck if she's watching these videos because we've talked about him. And then she put our name on there. So she was super stoked. She's already claimed it and was really excited to see that sitting around here, and she's going to try to use it this weekend from what she said. So that'll be really neat. So again, you know who you are, who you made this. I didn't have permission to really use her name on here, but I want to thank you for this, even though I don't know exactly when it came in. I can't remember. Things have been so crazy, but I wanted to be sure and thank you for that because it meant a lot to us to pull something in there and have something come in that's really neat and kind of for the kids. That's kind of neat. So we're excited to see that. And a good design. That's a really neat design. If I wanted, you probably sell a lot of these at those cow shows and stuff. Get you a little booth. But I want to thank everybody who's watching the videos. I want to thank everybody on the podcast. I can't remember if we mentioned it or not in the last podcast, but we did have Kent Rollins on. He was the last episode. I know there was a big gap from the one before him to him, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes we don't have the time or we can't get people scheduled for interviews. And so, but the Kent Rollins episode is doing really well. I really enjoyed visiting with him. And was glad to have him on the podcast. So if you don't know about our podcast, it's called Lost Trade, and you can find it on Apple or Spotify, or you can go to our website and just click on the podcast tab, and it'll have a player on our website that has all the episodes that are on there. I think we're over 50 episodes now, and we have spent the last couple of weeks doing, I think I've done 5 or 6 different interviews. So that's 10 or 12 weeks worth of podcasts because we post twice a month. And so that's going to be good. That gave us a bunch in the pipeline there with us being gone to Sheridan. That'll ensure that the podcast hopefully comes out more consistently. Got some good guys that we interviewed, some good folks, and so we're really excited. I will say I've got 2 knife makers on there. I'll let that out. Really excited. Good conversation. Learned a lot about making knives and 2 different types of knife makers too. They're not both the same type of knife that they make. And so a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun with the podcast. We don't know what we're doing with it. I know it's just it's a lot to jumble around and get scheduled and things like that, but we're having a lot of fun with it. Real quick though on podcasts, if you have, there's another one out there as well. One, Carrie Schwartz and Wilson Capron, they have a podcast as well. I think theirs is called Monday something. I'm sorry, I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, if you search Wilson Capron, Carrie Schwartz, you'll find their podcast that they do weekly. Steve Van Plu has done a leather community podcast, and it's more of what I envision our podcast becoming someday, maybe, which is because it's fun, is more of a video type podcast. So it is, I'm pretty sure it's on Apple and Spotify, I would imagine, but I watch it on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube, but he takes gear because he's a gear guy. He knows the gear, the camera, the lighting, he knows all that stuff. And he goes to people's shops and he interviews them there. And they're long form, but they're not as long form as ours. Ours will be hour and a half, 2 hours long, sometimes a little over 2 hours. His are more right in that hour mark, I believe. But he's had Cheryl and Ralph on from Leathercrafters and Saddlers Journal. He had Bruce Johnson on. I think we've talked about him before here in the Monday briefing. He had Jurgen and Gordon Andros on, and that was really cool to listen to those episodes. He's just doing a really good job. So he's a good friend. I consider that guy a friend. We see him at all the shows now. We'll see him again in Sheridan. And he's just a really good guy. So go and check those podcasts out. He's doing a very good job. High production values, doing really, really good. Much nicer lighting and production than what we do on some of our stuff. The message is just what matters, and that's what he's doing as far as hearing from these guys and hearing a little bit of their story and things like that. I'm really enjoying it. I watch every episode when it comes out, and so if you get a chance, go to YouTube, sign up for his or subscribe to his YouTube channel. It's called the Leather Community Podcast, I believe. So go check that out and give him a subscribe there, and I think you'll enjoy the podcast. We're going to get back at it. We're getting ready. Like I said, Sheridan's coming up quick, so we will be leaving. If you're going to Sheridan, we look forward to meeting you. If you're taking one of my classes, we're really excited. We'll be there start teaching classes on Tuesday, and we'll teach through Thursday. Then the show will be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday there in Sheridan, Wyoming, at the Sheridan College, and it's going to be good. The World Leather debut is there, and if you're going to Sheridan and never have been there and never seen the debut, get ready, because it's a showcase of phenomenal work. It's amazing the kind of stuff that you get to see in that debut. So we're excited to get there, excited to meet a bunch of people and have a good time and do just nothing but leathercraft for a whole week. And so we look forward to it. I appreciate you guys watching the channel. If you haven't yet, be sure and subscribe, and we'll see y'all next week in the Monday Morning Briefing.